everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Nicole Todosi, and today we'll be discussing the many challenges of pack redesign and innovation. Before we dive in, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Quirk for hosting this event. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to put them in the chat. Our organisers will collect them and we'll be sure to address them during the follow-up. But first things first, it's my pleasure to introduce today's co-host, Simon Pollock, who is Senior Insights Director at Kellanova. Simon, could you share a bit about yourself?
Yeah, Nicole, look, thanks so much for inviting me to talk today about packaging. I really believe packaging is the first point of interaction that many consumers have with our products, and and because of that, it's a critically important touch point. I've worked mostly in the packaged food industry for most of my career, working across lots of geographies and almost all food categories in the supermarket. And with that, I've learned that that interaction of packaging, that first point of touch, is critically important. One of the key learnings I've had throughout this time is the importance of simplicity and knowing that consumers, particularly at the point of purchase, when they're in their shopper mindset, only really see very few items on pack. So getting clarity and consistency on pack is really important. It would be wrong of me not to mention packaging like the Kellogg's packaging in store. I didn't work on that, but I really like the way that team have taken simplicity and really focused on the core distinctive assets of a brand to communicate their message. Nicole, I'd love to learn a little bit about you as well.
Sure. I'm the Business Development Director at EyeSee, and I specialise in helping FMCG and CPG brands like Kellanova leverage behavioural insights that will improve the in-store and online engagement and visibility. I specifically focus on understanding the client needs and seeing things from their perspective, which is why I want to start the webinar with asking you, Simon, what do you think are the biggest challenges in the pack redesign process?
Packaging is such an important touch point. It is usually the single touch point that consumers get to our brand and to our products. And as a result of that, it's critically important that we know that we're creating both the visibility on shelf, the findability in store, but also the usability when they get it home. And because of that, and because of the importance of that, traditional research and learning and investment made in research and learning can often take time and cost significant money, and that is really important. It's really important that we invest to do the learning. But what it means is often we only learn at certain points, and so one of the challenges, or one of the biggest challenges, is ensuring that we have iterative learning or ongoing learning. Ensuring that we're really focusing on the behavioural aspect of packaging, what it functionally needs to do, both in store and in home, and allowing us to do that at speed and pace so that we can get the products to market more quickly. So that for me would be the biggest challenge, the agility to be able to move quicker throughout the packaging development process.
And I couldn't agree more with that, Simon. The lack of agility is the most common frustration I keep hearing from consumer insights teams. And the market research industry is catching up, where traditional pack validation tests now have complementary testing solutions. And these are tech-enabled to meet the pressure of innovation. For example, with the launch of our predictive eye tracking, this has allowed us to offer a pack testing protocol that leverages AI to get quick, cost-efficient and practical optimizations before and after you validate the pack designs on shelf. And this is an overview of our pack testing protocol, where we start with the pack screening element, and this is where you have multiple designs that you need to screen out. But also what we do is we help with pinpointing the areas of optimization. In the middle, there's pack validation, and this is probably the most traditional phase that you're familiar with. This is on shelf, you're testing 2 or 3 winning designs against the current one and on the competitive shelf. And finally, once you've had your recommendations on how to further optimize the pack designs, we go into the last phase, which is a pack check. This is a very quick and efficient behavioral check that the changes that you've made are doing the job that they were meant to do. Simon, can you tell us a bit about why the Cheez-It redesign happened and what were the goals for the brand globally?
Yeah, it's such a fun brand to be working on. So Cheez-It is a US cracker brand that has existed for many years in the US and is highly established and has multiple product forms and ranges. And we were looking to launch that brand into the UK. And by the way, if you're in the UK or Ireland, you go into store, you will see it in there now and you'll see the packaging. So we were looking to launch it in the UK, but obviously the challenge there is the brand was not known. It was only one format. And we really had to establish the brand identity and presence by using those distinctive assets. So that was the story behind the redesign, taking the best of what we had in the US and finding an appropriate solution for the UK market. And that's when we partnered with EyeSee to work with them on helping us get to that best design.
And we were absolutely thrilled to support the Kellanova teams with this strategic redesign. Where we started this process, or phase one, was actually the pack validation test. So this is the middle pillar that I showed earlier. And this is because we already had, from previous testing, some very strong winning designs, or 2 winning designs actually, that we wanted to put on shelf in a competitive environment and test the visibility and the purchase from there.
Yeah, so we weren't starting from zero on this design. We actually had the foundation. We knew the branding, we knew the distinctive assets. And so that allowed us to explore different ways to bring that to life, to deliver against the objective of this UK challenge of launching a brand that wasn't known by consumers and the product form wasn't known as well. And the great thing about partnering with EyeSee is they had a suite of tools that helped us do that. And pack validation was the one that we started with on this particular journey.
So how did we do it? Well, we used real eye tracking to determine whether the new pack designs have visibility and if they hold attention on shelf, and also the key elements or the key areas on the pack design itself and how the eye visually reads them. We used virtual shopping or behavioral buying to determine if consumer would actually purchase it from the shelf. So beyond percentage bought, we also look at penetration share, market share and value share. And that's because we typically use a higher sample size of around 300 respondents per cell. And this is validated with in-market performance. We use interaction tracking. We use that for both quantifying likes, dislikes, and also open-ended answers around those likes and dislikes. And we also use it for findability on shelf. So this is timed findability, and it's another layer to tell us whether the new design stands out. So how quickly can consumers find it on shelf, how successfully, but also what they actually confuse it with and get it wrong. And finally, RTM and survey. So RTM stands for reaction time measurement. You might also know it as implicit associations. And essentially, it monitors how quickly the respondent will agree or disagree with the benefit or claim, which constitutes for an implicit response. And obviously survey, where we will track the typical survey brand fit, likability, uniqueness, and so on, which was also fully customizable.
And it was because of the combination of methods that allowed us to understand how we could get to a design that would work most effectively, both on shelf with the greater visibility, but also the messaging relating to the brand. As I mentioned, we had an established brand. We were looking at what were the distinctive assets that we could bring to market in the UK. The other thing I'd point out at this point is, the brand also existed in a couple of other markets. It's in Brazil and also Canada, and so we were also wanting to make sure through this test that we were developing something that would work in those other markets as well. And we got some really clear guidance on how to adjust some of the packaging and product, and also we're able to incorporate that learning into ultimately the final design. And through that, we were able to make the optimizations. And actually, what we did, which was a great benefit, is this is where we started to leverage the AI to retest. So instead of running a full test again in market, we were able to use the learning from the first test, use the AI method that Nicole talked about before, to actually validate, did we successfully deliver the changes and did we improve the packaging? I've worked on many projects where where you make changes to packaging after you do the learning, and what ends up happening is sometimes you make it go backwards, not forwards. And so the great thing about this is we had a method that allowed us to validate or double check that were we still taking the design forward.
Echoing what Simon was saying, once the pack design is improved, it is essential to verify if those iterations are effective and they're doing the job that they need to do. However, often, time and budget constraints make it difficult to conduct another large-scale research like another pack validation. And to address this challenge, the pack check solution was created. And this is leveraging AI-powered predictive eye tracking in combination with other behavioral and explicit methods to deliver fast and efficient insights to make sure your final pack is fully perfected. So in terms of the method used, we had predictive eye tracking, interaction tracking to capture likes, dislikes, and the reasons behind that, and then also reaction time measurement and survey.
Yeah, so as Nicole mentioned, we used the predictive eye tracking element as a way of checking our packs and the changes and the optimizations we made based on the learning in the first round. Predictive eye tracking itself, AI eye tracking is not new, but what was new here and what EyeSee was able to provide was a link of that back to their benchmarks, but also linking it back to the previous tests so that we knew whether we had made improvements on the visibility on shelf. Alongside that, because we'd also combined that with a consumer element, a consumer survey element, we were able to understand, had we made optimizations on the likability, had we made improvements on the attributes that we were looking at improving, and also had we been able to flow that through into how the product performed, not only on shelf, but when they took the product home as well. And finally, so you'll see, if you go into store in the UK right now, you will see that Cheez-It is in store and you will see the pack. I can't reveal any of the changes or tweaks we're making, obviously, but as new products come to market, you'll see some of those new images and some of that learning coming to market in the coming months.
As Simon mentioned, predictive eye tracking is not new and has been around in the market for a while. What is new with EyeSee's predictive eye tracking is that it goes beyond saliency. So where traditional models will look at the contrast, the shape and the colour, and it will assume that that is where naturally the eye will go, what our predictive eye tracking does, it uses advanced AI algorithm that is based on real eye tracking gazes of respondents that we've been capturing for the last decade or so. This AI-powered solution requires no respondents and it's highly accurate, as you can see from the two images on screen where we're comparing real eye tracking with predictive eye tracking. In terms of outputs, we will get AI visibility, attention and heat maps of the key areas on pack. And what's even more exciting is that we'll also unveil a brand new additional output that is showing the order in which each pack element is seen, which is designed ultimately to help shape the pack architecture. However, AI is not a substitute for real eye tracking. It is complementary because they give us different levels of depth. While real eye tracking works best when combined with virtual shopping, providing the full shelf context and even deeper insights. And with over 80 pre-made virtual environments and both 2.5D and 3D options available, the possibilities are countless. However, if you are looking to make quick and robust decisions, either pre-validation, so where you've got multitude of pack designs that you need to optimize and narrow down, or if you're looking to do a final post-validation check, then predictive eye tracking lends itself really well.
So thanks, Nicole. It has been a pleasure working with the EyeSee team on this project that we talked about. A couple of key highlights and learnings from us. As I mentioned, one of the biggest challenges in packaging research is the fact that it is highly involved, and particularly as you do in-context learning, in a shelf context, in a home context, it can be quite expensive and slow, and it's really important. So we should continue to do that. But what that means is we often don't have the agility to retest or recheck things. What was great about this project is we were able to use the AI and the predictive tracking to go back and retest post-optimization to see if we'd actually made improvements. And the good news is we had made improvements, and we believe we have a better pack in store as a result of that. So that's really fantastic. I'm really excited about this capability because it not only gives us the ability to do eye tracking and on packs, predictive eye tracking on packs, but it also provides us with the benchmarks and then link back to the original test, which I thought was really exciting. And that's been one of the gaps in this space for quite some time. The one thing I'm really excited about is using this type of capability pre-consumer learning. So using it in the development process and understanding how we can improve the designs before we even get to a consumer test. So we're currently working on one of those now, and I'm excited to see how that continues to track. So from me, I just want to say a big thanks to EyeSee for having me today, and also to the Quirk's media team for hosting the webinar. I really appreciate it, and happy to chat about this with anybody at any time. Thanks so much.
That's fantastic. And with that, we'll wrap things up. Thank you again, Simon, for being here and for sharing your expertise with us. And a big thank you to Quirks and to everyone who joined us today. Your time and questions are greatly appreciated. Be sure to follow Simon, EyeSee, and myself on LinkedIn to stay up to date with the latest trends in market research. Until next time, take care.